doing it. Like, so yeah.
I feel you. Running sucks.
Yeah, I just don't like, like I said, it's not that I can't run. Trust me, I can run,
All right, go ahead and get your braggadocious I self ride on, bro. I can run.
I can run, man. I can run.
Hey, Peace Code Keepers, tonight we're going to be doing a lot of running. Hopefully you won't be running to the John, Code Keepers. Make sure you get your water. Make sure you have your water, your health outfits on. We about to do a little run with the Fit Goddess tonight. Hey, Rihanna had that song, "Sex with Me is Amazing," and I understand it gets better when you're in better health, right?
Of course, like everything's better when you're in better health.
I say that. All right, welcome to Get On Code, the Fly Guy Show, which is a series of melanated conversations focused on empowerment, health, wealth, and knowledge of self.
People think in binary choices because they are conditioned to.
And on the wall was a picture of a wolf and a lion. I think the wolf was the Democratic Party, the lion was the Republicans.
But the drug trade and all these illegal stuff that people do, that's still economics. It's just that they couldn't do it in a traditional system.
We're talking about melanated wealth.
So we can build wealth, but we just, for some reason, don't seem to be able to transfer it.
You had a great experience. Fine. That means nothing.
What were you told as a child about education? You had to be how many times better?
Every impression without an expression becomes depression.
Sex with me so amazing. That song, I don't know why it's in my head. It was Rihanna in the Super Bowl, but
I have a gripe, man.
All right,
I'm not in the intro.
Ooh, Danny, I'm not in the intro.
No, but I've been. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's been a while since I've been on. Like before I started coming back, it's been a while. But out of all those people there, I've been on here the longest. So just saying. Just saying.
Yeah.
Gotta redo the intro, brother.
There's a lot of truth to that. Hey, tonight we're going to focus on this queen right here.
Yes, y'all.
This queen right here. Sex, strength, stamina. Get Black Power fit with Fit Goddess Tribe on Get On Code. So, okay, I guess I hurt Danny's feelings.
He didn't hear it.
All right, so I mean, we all want to know if we want to have better relations, we have to be fitter, healthier.
Correct.
How does that work?
Okay, so in my journey, what I learned is most people we lack self-trust, right? So it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust me to make a good decision with you or with my finances or with my sexual well-being or with the food that I eat. It's the discipline, right? Discipline is the greatest form of self-love, and a lot of people lack it. I was one of them. I remember being disciplined enough to feed my children well, but then not disciplined enough to eat well myself. The better you eat, the better you are.
Discipline. Say that line with discipline again. That was dope, actually.
Discipline is the greatest form of self-love.
All right, you're gonna have to break it. It sounds good. I want to say amen, sister. Preach, but you're gonna have to go a little deeper.
Okay.
Discipline is the greatest form of self-love.
Correct. So discipline requires us to set aside the instant gratification for whatever the long-term goal is. So if the long-term goal is optimal health, right, then it's a daily practice in which I discipline myself to eat, behave, think, maneuver in a certain way that will give me not just today, but tomorrow and the next day and forever and ever, amen, optimal health, right? I could slack, right? That's what they call cheating. But then that means you're lacking discipline because you're cheating. So for whatever I want, whether it's to have optimal health, have a phenomenal relationship, have good financial health, time freedom, all those things require discipline, which just means, I gotta be able to be focused enough to be like, I am not going to do this for the short-term gratification. I'm going to continue to do these steps over time consistently for the larger, bigger picture. Seiko dropped out.
He did?
No, I'm still here. I was letting that marinate. I was really letting that marinate. Now, Danny, I know that you're really into health as well. So, what's your discipline like? What's your discipline like, Danny?
I real quick, I just want to add on to the self-love part, because I think that's you're right on point, Figatis, when you say that it is an ultimate form of self-love. Because a lot of times when we look at self-love, we don't look at it like, I look at self-love like how I am when I'm in a relationship with my partner, right? And I should treat myself the same way. And I think a lot of times we don't do that. We don't look at it that way. So there's a lot of lack in our self-love, right? And discipline is one of those. And I think that analogy you used about cheating is actually a very good analogy. So, I'm glad you put the self-love in there, because oftentimes we don't love ourselves at all. And then if we do say we love ourselves, we don't treat ourselves like how we would our partner, right?
Correct. And I encourage everybody to love themselves, like you said, in the way that you would think you want your partner to love you. One, if you're trying to lead by example, how is your partner going to know if you're not showing them by your own actions? And they may not register your actions towards them because of different perceptions, right? But they can mirror your actions to yourself. So you can tell that I love myself because I'll get up every morning and shower and take a bath and eat good food. So you know that if you're dealing with me, I'll probably want good food in the morning. You'll know that I'll probably want to go somewhere and be active 90% of the time, because that's what I do now, single,
Now, to answer Seiku's question, my discipline has always been you focusing on martial arts. I think martial arts is probably, to me, this is my opinion, martial arts is probably the best form of self-discipline. And one of it is because you always have goals, right? Going to the next level, whether it's a belt, whether it's a cord, or being to a level of master. There's always a consistent leveling up. So there's always goals you have to set for yourself, and you have to be disciplined to find those goals. So I always tell people, find a martial art that fits how their personality, their energy level, and then work that. Because one good thing about martial arts is that really, and I know a lot of people hate when I say this, really, once you learn the basics, you can keep practicing on and on for the rest of your life. You can always, all the masters that I know, all the masters that I know, they're still training when they're 70 and 80. And that's my ultimate goal, to be 70 and 80 and still training. You know what I'm saying? All the martial artists that I know that went into transition and are now ancestors, the day they passed, they had demonstrations they were supposed to do that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had demonstrations scheduled for like the rest of the month, and then it just happened to go into transition. So that's my discipline. And being in martial arts has forced me to live a healthier lifestyle, because if I want to maintain a certain level of athleticism, I have to eat a certain way, live a certain way, and be a certain way.
I agree. Both of my sons do. My oldest started with Taekwondo, and he did that from like 2.5 to 6. And then there was a gap, and both of them did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Same reason. Again, it's the self-control aspect of self-discipline. If we always say we're creating monsters, right? If our children are monsters and they learn how to control the monster within them, they are much better adept to be social and amicable, because your own personal power, which again is the self-love. You have the discipline to control it. And like you're saying, it teaches you so much. My oldest actually got me into kickboxing when he was doing Taekwondo, because my motto with my brand has always been, we eat, sleep, and exercise. I used to tell the kids that all the time. We got to eat, sleep, and exercise. And I was like, damn it, I'm lying to myself and them, because I'm not doing what I'm telling them we should be doing to take care of ourselves.
You touched on something that's also crucial. I don't know if we want to talk about it now or we want to talk about it towards the end, but the resting part. I think that's like a crucial element that all of us, and you know, I get it because a lot of us, you know, work many hours. We might be going to school while we work. We have children. We have extracurricular activities, and a lot of times that rest part gets neglected. So I don't know if you want to talk about that now, or if you want to do that later.
Well, I mean, since you brought it up, I like it now. Rest is
brought it up.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You caught it. I throw it back to you, right? Rest is so again, with fitness, what I've learned is there's a lot of mental trauma that has turned into physiological things. And one of the traumas that we as a group of people are suffering from is still that we gotta go mentality, and it stems from enslavement, right? If you look at the history books, they say that African American Black women were up from sunup till after everybody went to sleep. If you're still working after everybody has gone to sleep and have to get right back up to do the same thing, when are you actually sleeping? And if the women are holding the children within their uterus the whole time, so I'm feeling what my grandmother and great grandmother and great grandmother are feeling, then I still carry this trauma, even regardless of if I actually experienced it. My oldest son, saw me wake up from a nap one time, panting, like stricken. He said, "Well, what's wrong with you, Mom?" I said, "Yo, sometimes I feel like I got to be doing something all the time. It's post-traumatic stress disorder." I said, "Mommy's learning, how to rest." And most people will feel it, when they get real sick. We always say, "Oh, God is telling you to slow down." And it's absolutely true. Rest is part of it. Just like we see a child grow. We see the child grow the most when they're sleeping, which is why babies develop so rapidly and sleep so much. It's no different in an adult. We just, again, in this instant gratification world, are so used to being go, go, go that we don't know how to rest, that we actually have to practice resting.
And I'm glad you said that, because there's this, I think capitalism plays a huge part in this concept of having this grind culture, right? I remember like Nas was saying, and it's funny because I remember being young and internalizing that. He was like, sleep is the cousin of death, right? And so he was like, oh, I got to stay awake. I got to stay, quote unquote, woke. And there was a time when I prided myself in getting 4 hours of sleep a day. I could live on 4 hours sleep a day, and it's more like, I notice a lot of people will talk about that, how grinding culture, like if you're sleeping, that means you're wasting time. That's time you could be making money. And a lot of us internalize that idea of hustling and grinding when we should be having a bedtime. We should be having a morning where we're getting up early enough to eat a full breakfast and maybe work out or maybe meditate or write, in our journals, things of that nature. But yeah, I think when we talk about fitness, oftentimes we forget about the rest part, which is crucial in our growth and development, because when you don't sleep, you actually stunt your growth.
That part, you actually are stressing your body. So a lot of cortisol, which is that fat that ends up right around your midsection, a lot of us suffer from that, and the visceral fat, because of all the other psychological trauma that we're doing to ourselves because of our thoughts. Well, I think I got to do this, and I think I got to do this, and I think I got to eat like this, and I don't have time to sit down and eat an actual meal, so I'm just going to go get this fast food, but it's really trash. And now your body is trying to operate off of this poor fuel when you're this divine being that deserves divine food, and you're feeding yourself trash, and you're like, why is it not working well?
So you said part of your fitness, I'm trying to remember this. You said it was, you have to, what is it? Sleep fitness, eat fitness, and
so
did I get it right?
With the kids, there was 2 mantras that we would always tell them when they were very, very little, in this stage where you make an impression. And when the oldest started Taekwondo, we would tell him, you eat, sleep, and exercise. That was to get him into the routine of, hey, you're coming to karate every whatever day it was, Friday, Wednesday, because this is part of the exercise, part of eating, sleeping, and exercising in terms of taking care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're beings, and all that we're doing is programming them to be phenomenal human beings and citizens. But in order to do that, they have to be of sound mind and body. And in order for that to happen, their body has to operate and function at its highest level. And in order to do that, you have to eat well, sleep well, and exercise. There's no other way around it.
So we talked about the resting part. We definitely want to get into the eating part, right? And so I know you started your journey, right? How did you get to where you're at today?
So I would tell you that's crazy, right? Because again,
and you give us the abridged version because I know it's in your book. So
that's the part.
Version. Yeah, you give us the abridged version because I know you have a book, and the book kind of explains that.
So no. The book that I spoke to you about prior, right, is still in the works.
Oh, okay, all right.
But you got the B.R.E.A.T.H.E book out, right?
I do have the B.R.E.A.T.H.E book out. Now that one is more on nutrition. That is years and years of feeding smoothies to my kids because again, we got to eat well. And I used to always joke, like if you go way back in my personal Facebook, you'll see that I'm like, oh, the best way to keep your kids quiet is give them a smoothie, right? They get everything they need. They're not talking back. Everything's happy. It's great. With nutrition, there's so much complexities to the simple things that we could eat. I've been joked many a time because normally I'm shoving lots of food into my mouth because I like food. But what you'll notice is that I don't cook a lot of food, so my mom will say, oh, that's just stuff you dump and throw together. I'm like, yeah, because that's actually food. You don't have to do anything or manipulate it in any way to receive the benefits in which your body is supposed to get from it. And the cool thing is we're taught this, some of us, depending on your education, in elementary school, that's why I said some of us, depending on your education. I was going to say we are, but I remember, like I told you last show, I was in a Catholic school, and learning public schools through my kids here in Virginia is way different than Catholic school in Ohio. The things that they have on the walls, the things that they require of children, the knowledge that they impart on the children. Because again, all of this information that I'm speaking of is generally grade level stuff. We learned enough about anatomy and how the body works and why we should eat foods. Whether or not we followed it, that's totally different.
Okay. Well, what about this part? Water fasting, sea moss, moringa, spirulina, etc.
Can I jump into
Danny,
that?
Yeah, Danny. I know this is one of your areas, bro. This is one of your areas.
I work with young people all the time, man, and I always, and one thing I do, I try to focus on what my folks are doing when it was my age, right? We got to keep it simple, man. We got to really keep it simple, man. What we have access to. Because a lot of like the other day, somebody tried to sell me sea moss, a jar this big for like $70. I was like, man, you got to get out of here with that, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? You scamming me, bro. So keep it simple, man. Everything we need is within reach of what we need. We don't need all of that, right? So always keep it simple. Fruits and vegetables, water. If you are going to eat meats, lean meats, try not to eat stuff that's fried. Definitely get your vegetables in. Keep it simple. Watch your portions. Exercise regularly and get your rest. And any doctor will tell you that. Any doctor will tell you, they'll be like, hey, just do this. You just got to do this. Because there's all these ideas. I'm gonna just say this: the health and wellness industry is like $50 billion a year.
Right.
And their job is to is to separate you from your money. That's their job.
That's right.
And everybody's gonna come at you with these get rich, let's lose weight in 30 days. Let's lose 50 pounds in 30 days. And I'm like, fitness is a lifestyle. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's not these things are gonna help you. Just keep it simple, something you can do every day in practice and that you can pass on. All that.
All right, drink your water. Drink your water, y'all. What's up with Dr. Sebi? Because you and I know, bro. You know, when we were first, getting involved in some of the conscious thought stuff in the '90s, Dr. Layla Africa was telling us a lot of things. Dr. Sebi was just starting. Queen Afua was just starting to gain some momentum. So, are you saying that CMOS is whack? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying it's whack. It's just that it's the new thing. It's the new thing, right? It's the new thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I see people out here scamming, and it's a new thing. And I'm like, yo, you and I've been in the game for a while. You know what I mean? Back in the day, it was something else that they were selling. They were selling those big jars of those things that was like, I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. And you buy the jar for like $150, and you're supposed to like dilute it and drink it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that, right? Everybody was selling it. Then it was spirulina. Then it was like every 10 years is a new thing. Now it's CMOS. And this is like, yo, they're just trying to take you from your money. Let me tell you something about, shout out to the late, great Dr. Layla Africa. Because you know what? He did community work. He was in the community doing work, right? Shout out to Queen Afua, whose book, Heal Thyself, everybody should have in a library.
That's right.
Everybody should have in a library. And she does community work. You know what I mean? Noni Juice. Shout out to Social Life Paula Thomas. It was called Noni Juice. Yeah, back in the day. Yep. Shout out to Queen Afua, who does community work and continues to do some community work. Sebi never did community work. Sebi used to beef with people. Sebi used to hate on the elders. Sebi used to talk a lot of trash. Sebi got put out. He went to Africa, got put out of Africa. You know what I'm saying? So like, he didn't do community work. People will get mad when I say this. And the reason why Left Eye from TLC was like, yo, my man, you bugging, was because he was messing with some real young. But I'm gonna leave it at that, right? But that being said, he is another scammer. He was another hustler. You know what I mean? He was out here hustling people. He said he had to kill.
Word?
People have not, and I'm gonna leave it. You know what? I'm gonna turn it over back to the Fit Goddess. Show me the people he's cured. Show me the people he's cured.
All right, so Queen, do you have a copy of Sacred Woman?
Yeah, there you go. Yep, but you need to get Heal Thyself. That's the one everybody should get.
So that one, Nutricide, and
Nutricide.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a while.
That's a joint. Nutricide is a joint. Somebody stole my copy. Yeah.
There's another one. It's a yellow book, and I can't remember because all my books are boxed up right now.
For what? Dr. Africa?
No,
it's African Holistic Health. That's the classic.
That's the classic too.
That's the classic. That's the gold.
I have that one. Yeah. Now, do you do, and then also Body and Soul? That's old school.
Mm-hmm. I don't have that one. I don't have that one.
Those ones I've used to, formulate how I eat, how I mind my business, how I live my life. But there are some new ones. Yeah, Nutricide, that one. Mm-hmm. And then there's one that's a white covered book.
Yeah, so the African Holistic Health was the one that he's known for. I put him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one everybody should get too.
So this one is the one that kind of started my journey. So to bring it back, you asked what happened? What was the catalyst?
Because you lost like 200 pounds, right?
So
I like saying that. It just sounds. It's sexy. Yeah, she lost 200 pounds.
When I saw it, I was like, damn, he ain't wrong, but damn. You know what I mean? I've never been slender. Even as a child, I was at least 180 because we had the parents that were feeding us chicken with the antibiotics and, sausage and bologna and all the delicious trash that they knew about. It's not their fault. It's just what it was. So coming into Virginia, I was a single adolescent female, found a mate, got pregnant. We're still eating trash. And it was after the birth of our first child, we went to visit, I believe it was his great grandfather. And he was in the hospital suffering from diabetes and gout, which I didn't know anything about. My mom in Ohio tried to make us as healthy as possible in the best way she could. But I remember us coming home as a family, and he was like, yo, I don't want to eat that way no more. I don't want to do that. because I don't want to die. And that was it for me. I was like, bet, we got this family, we got these kids, we need to live as long as humanly possible. I started doing as much research as I could. Now, problem is, even in eating healthy, like Danny said, there's so much trash out there that you can eat healthy trash and still gain weight. So then that was my problem. Because in my era, there were so many options. We just went with the options, and the options were actually worse than just eating regular food. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until after my second child was born that I kind of had enough. The kid's father was like, yo, you don't have any goals. And that stung real deep. I remember going back to my journal because as you said, Danny, there are certain things that success leads steps. And if you just do these things, you will be successful in your own right. So I go back to my journal, and one of the things that I said that I wanted to do, the first thing was get locks, which I did. I had them for 20 years. It was great. Now I'm in a different phase. They're going to come back even greater, but right now I just like this. The other thing was addressing my weight. So I was like, okay, shit, let's do it. Let's address our weight. And that was it. I went to the YMCA, started taking Zumba, and then I started taking Mixed Fit. Then I got into dance fitness, and then I lost all the weight. Like I went from 240 to like 1 something. And my homegirls was like, you look real skinny. And you know what I'm saying? It was too much sauce because I didn't know the balance. Right. So that's when now the catalyst changed. The relationship ends. So now trauma ensues in my brain where I'm in like this massive flight, and I get introduced to boxing. I had already had experience with kickboxing, but boxing is different. And Coach Shannon Brown, man, February 14th, I remember calling him and I was like, yo, sir, I need to pick some stuff up and put it down until I just don't feel this way anymore. And I'm punching the bag. There's a video of it. My arms start to get tired. And he's like, it's not your body. It's your mind that's weak. Now that was offensive to me because how dare you say my mind is weak, but he wasn't wrong. And this is kind of how my program changed, because once I realized it was my mind, it wasn't my body. My mind would make my body do whatever my mind told it to. And that was all she wrote. I like that you keep saying we got to make it simple. Before the brand became Fit Goddess Tribe, it was back to basics, because that's what I felt I did. Doing the simplest. I was so focused on form, repetition, and consistency. A squat is a squat is a squat. You do 1,000 of them, you have strong legs. Now, if you want big legs, you may have to lift heavy. But if you want strong legs, you just do the same thing over and over and over again.
I'm glad you said consistency, and I think I'm going to table that real quick. But to the brothers that are in the chat, you mentioned the gout. The gout affects particularly Black men in their 40s and 50s. So, gentlemen, if you're having like pain in your legs, in one of your legs, if you're having like severe pain that you can't explain, like you didn't fall or anything like that, you might have the gout. So please get that checked out. If you're having pains in your legs, and then you can't explain like why they're getting there, because it affects particularly Black men in their 40s and 50s. So please get that checked out.
Didn't that happen to Stickman too?
It happened to Stickman. Yeah, he was real young when it happened. So he was in his 20s when it happened, and that put him on his journey, having that gout. But I know a couple of men, Black men, that in their 40s they had the gout, and they were able to get it early, and get to it early and get it treated. So just FYI, gentlemen, if you feel like you have pain in your legs that are unexplained, like you didn't fall down or anything like that, please get that checked out. Fit Goddess, you talked about consistency, and I think that's probably the most difficult part about fitness, the consistency. Any idea on how you can stay consistent?
Great question. So you got to trick yourself. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of us lack self-trust. So we've got to find something greater than ourselves to bring it back to self, if that makes sense. Um, for example, most children hear their parents' voice and not their own voice. So we spend a lot of our time restructuring our mind to tell ourselves who we are, not who we were told we are. It's the same thing. For me, because I'm a giver, it was easy for me to show up for somebody else. So if I did this for somebody else, I would continuously do it. That led me to become a certified mixed fit instructor at one point, a certified commit instructor, certified box master instructor. I started training for salsa, kizomba, and bachata, all for the purpose of leading by example. Like in my dance fitness classes, I would tell people, hey, you gotta live your life. And I may not be in class every time because I gotta live my life. And you're gonna see me live my life via social media because we have the ability to control media now. It's so phenomenal. However, you're going to see my ups, you're going to see my downs, you're going to see that I'm absolutely human and that this is very, very hard. However, you're only as old as you want to be. You know, age ain't nothing but a number. And it's really about how long do you want to live? Like, you know, you're going to die. How long do you want to really live? And what quality of life do you want? And being overweight, I remember sitting on a chair pregnant with my youngest son, and the springs just went down. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn. Like it was terrible feeling. I remember walking up a flight of stairs and being winded. And I was like, it's gotta be more to life than this. It absolutely has to be more to life than this. Not to say that if I run up the stairs now, it still hurts. Like it doesn't stop hurting. You just get stronger. And the empowerment and the strength is what's lacking. We as a people have been made to fear our strength as opposed to embrace it. So fitness has helped me show massive amounts of people how you can be feminine and strong and soft and meek, but still, you know, hold your own.
I'm glad you said that because it's like being a martial artist, part of my job is convincing my students to do things that they think they cannot do. And I know like my style of teaching isn't like I don't like yell and be like, oh, you're gonna, you know, I don't do that. But I do have to trick them. I do have to think of different ways to have them execute a particular movement or series of movements that they believe that they cannot do, and then getting them to do it without, you know, giving me pushback, right? And 9.9 out of 10 times they execute the movement or the sequence of movements. But you're right, a lot of it is tricking your mind to doing it, because really it is mind over matter. It really is. Yeah. And there's several examples over the years of people who were told, you know, you're never going to walk again, you know, you're never going to do this again, or no one can do this, and they've done it. You know,
they do it.
And they had to trick their body into doing it, their mind to do it.
Correct, because wherever the mind goes, the body will follow. We learn this in boxing. You know what I'm saying? Wherever the head goes, the body follows.
Yes. So I like that. I like that idea for consistency. My thing with consistency, I tell people, is find something you like doing. I know we were talking about running earlier. Find something you like doing, because if you enjoy doing it, it doesn't feel like work. And
right.
You're gonna do it on those days that you don't, that's like it's raining outside or it's really cold. You're still gonna do it because you enjoy doing it. It doesn't feel like work. So
right.
Yo, I really think that the message of your life is really helping to change folk. Let's talk about messaging for a second, because you know you've been with the Get On Code platformers for a few weeks now, and you know we've all enjoyed having you. We've learned from you. You've really brought a lot to the table. But one of the messages that happened was a conversation that involved you and Crumb. And I think when we talk about health, we have to talk about, you know, our mental health as well. I know that you wanted to have a chance to kind of respond to that, because we really didn't get a chance to see the whole thing on the video. So let me roll this beautiful bean footage.
And real quick,
Go
real
ahead.
quick, Fit Goddess, we've all had conversations with Crumb. Just FYI, we've all had conversations. So you're not the only one, So yeah.
Yeah. We all have.
What goes up must come down. That is a law. It's gravity. But it may be true to me that I've never experienced a intimate, good, powerful relationship with a Black man. That doesn't mean that one cannot exist, right? Those two truths can be the same.
Well, since you opened that door, I'm gonna walk through it. How old are you?
36.
36. The chances that that's the truth is just as possible as the chances of getting struck by lightning.
Well, explain what you mean. Because if I'm saying that to this time period in my life, I haven't experienced a good, and this is just an example, right? Not saying that it's true or false, but if I haven't experienced a good relationship, right? You're saying it's false.
Wait, you're saying a good relationship? Because I think at first you said a good man.
No. I said a good relationship, and a good, specifically intimate relationship with a man. Now, that could be a true statement, but that doesn't mean that the other true statement means I will never, right? Because that's our people get up in that a lot. What is not what will be or what can be.
Well, since you opened that door, I'm gonna walk through that one too.
Okay.
Do you have a associate's degree or higher?
Yes.
Right. So women over the age of 33 with an associate's degree of higher, their chances and possibilities of having an emotionally
lower. Oh yeah, trust me, I did the research when I was a kid. I know that everything I designed myself to be says that my dating pool has gone from like vast to here if I only want Black men, but that doesn't mean that I won't ever find one.
Well, not that you only want Black men, but remember, Black men have the lowest standards. What the Black man will accept from you, the Asian man won't. The Arabian man won't. So
the Black man has been made to be this. So I understand what you're saying. Like even with Black men, we're the lowest. Like they don't want to accept a lot of things from us because of mentality.
Well, yeah, the feminist movement is a B.I.T. So we understand that you've got a snowball chance in hell. Not saying that.
No, I got you.
But the likelihood of you finding love now. You may probably get hit by lightning first or hit the lottery. At this point, at that particular time frame,
Oh, and throw in I got 2 kids. You know what I'm saying? That just makes it even lower.
Right. Because when men get married, they get married because of legacy. When he finally decides he wants to get married, like, I want a family. So he can't have a legacy with you, because when he has a child with you, even though 90% of your eggs are gone by age 30, when he has a child with you, he can't just buy his child pizza. He can't just invest in his legacy. He got to invest in another man's orgasm as well.
Okay, Crumb going Kevin Samuels. Salute that. The Manosphere is live. The Manosphere is live.
Can I address that? Can I address that first of all?
Yeah.
I don't know where he's getting the math from, but let me ask you. You ready for this?
Let's go.
What is the percentage of women in their 40s who have a graduate degree and above of not getting married? Not getting married. Women in their 40s who are masters and above of not being married. Not being married.
Don't know.
19%. So most women in their 40s with a graduate degree and above are married. What it is that in the 21st century, women across the board are getting married later than they were in the 60s and 70s. That's what happened. That's what happened. So in the 60s and 70s, particularly Black women, they were being married between the ages of 19 and 25. Now Black women are married between the ages of 33 and 40. So they're getting married later. They're going to college, finding their careers, and then getting married. Then getting partnered and getting married. Or some of them are just getting partnered, right? So I just want to point that out. that, you know, and we're not even talking about women who are partnered and not married either. You know what I'm saying? But that's what's happening. So everything that's going back to when they're saying when they're saying 70% of women are single, they're talking about women between the ages of 19 and 25. Yeah, so that's what there's that numbers come from. So when they say 70% of women are not getting married, they're leaving out the part that says 19 to 25.
And see, this is I was on a panel for the Libertarian Party talking about health and wellness, and one of the openers said the person who gets the statistics can skew them. It's always in your wheelhouse to be like, hey, these are in my favor.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
my don't get me wrong, you know, it's like the person said in the chat, it did switch. You know, when you go back to the 60s and 70s, women were getting married at a younger age. Is that now they're getting married at an older age because now they have access to college and careers that they didn't have in the 60s and 70s.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening. Women are now have the option of getting married later on than they were back in the day.
My thing is why the rhetoric? Like, as my brother, who are you entitled to sit up here and tell me that I have a snowball chance in hell of finding love when it's brothers knocking down my door? First of all, shout out to all the stepdads and all the men out there that care for, as the brother so eloquently said, another man's orgasm. Why are we out here talking like that to ladies, queens? Like, the audacity. That was my problem. My problem is not the statistics. I can tell you about statistics of women not being married or how detrimental it is for women to be married. So
and Sekou, I'm gonna hold you accountable because you kind of shouted him out on that. You should have checked him on that. I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, you should have been. Okay. It was a different way you could have said that. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to do that. Like,
that's my problem with it. As a elder, as a person that is working on being an ancestor, as a man that my sons may find on YouTube, how dare you speak to me in such a manner? Like, simply as a person, how dare you? You can tell me your stats and your facts and your figures. I can sit across from a racist and have a better conversation without actually calling anybody names. Now, you can say, okay, you opened the door, but when the door that you say I opened, you didn't actually address the thing that I addressed. You came with your own kind of backhanded. Why? And then time out. Let's go ahead and put them on blast, and then you slide into my DMs and tell me I'm cute.
Wow.
Well,
so how can you people say that I can't get? First of all, why do you think? Have you ever considered that maybe I don't want? Have you ever considered that maybe the life that I'm choosing to live, I actually like better than having to deal with the psychosis of people that don't know or care about themselves enough to find health and healing?
Good. That's where I wanted to bring this conversation back to. So, and Danny, I accept your check. All right.
Brother. Thank you, man. I love you.
When we have conversations like that, and he went Kevin Samuels, and I know Crumb and I have kind of talked a lot about the manosphere a lot, and the conscious manosphere, and the benefits, the toxicity, and we've had those conversations. So that may have played out in that conversation because Danny, I know you're a black male feminist. I'm kind of closer to the conscious manosphere, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, you and I, go back and forth sometimes, and we've all had our our fun with Crumb. I love the brother Crumb. We've all had our fun with Crumb. So when we have those types of conversations in public, what does it do to us mentally? Because health is wealth. Today we're talking about sex, stamina, strength, getting yourself fit and healthy. So how do those conversations, the manosphere conversations, how does that affect sisters' health?
Can I say this? Can I say this real quick? I think what bothers me the most of this conversation is that in my entire life, I've had women comrades, right? Sisters, sisters that have my back, that I can have conversations with about anything. You know what I mean? And they're the ones that told me that when we talk about liberation, we have to include everybody in that discussion. You know what I'm saying? So yes, even when I'm just hanging out with my homie, my sister homie, that's still a relationship. That's still a healthy relationship that I have with that woman, just like I have a healthy relationship with my brother Sekou. You know what I mean? And we don't talk about that enough because we need more of that. You know what I'm saying? And I bet any amount of money that Fit Goddess has great relationships with a lot of men in her community. She talks about it all the time. So I guarantee that she already has those kind of relationships that are healthy, that are reciprocal, that are affirming and that are uplifting, not just for herself, but her children and her community that she's in. So we need to focus on that before we even start discussing partnering with one another.
That part. We got to lead by example. Yep. Why? Not even how, because the semantics of consummation is easy, but why would you want to lay down with somebody that you don't even know if they care enough about themselves to care about you? They might wreak havoc on themselves legit in any kind of way. You can make it very base level and make it an STD. And now, because they didn't care enough about themselves, they're clearly not going to care about you. And now you're spreading diseases because of negligence. All because you wanted to sleep with somebody because they was cute, because he had muscles, because she had a fat booty.
Yeah, that part. I mean, sexual attraction is real.
Okay, but remember the song "Shorty, where your head at"? What happened to them brothers? What happened to them brothers that had enough discipline and stopped thinking what they did to where they could go past all of what they see and actually try to, I don't know, go for something with some substance? And now you mad because it's all these Barbie dolls talking about, oh, this man, this and that. But when you leave with dick and finances, what you expect a woman to do but become a prostitute? And because it's more women than men, y'all keep throwing money at females because they easy. No, now you the trick.
Yes. Okay. I was having a conversation. I was teaching class the other day, and I teach algebra, right? And out of the blue, the kid says, "Hey, Mr. V, do you make it rain in the strip club?" And I'm like, anybody that pays money for attention is a simp, right? The whole class was like, ooh. But then, that young man and I got together and we had a conversation. And I said, let's think about this. You're paying for attention. If you invest, and I show them how to invest all the time, you'll get attention. You can either pay for attention or you can invest in yourself, your future, your finances, and you'll capture attention.
You're going to pay for it one way or the other.
Well, you definitely want an ROI. You want a return on your investment.
Truly.
Right. But we also talked about
here's my
all
thing.
I want to do is a boom, 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 and it's so.
But here's my thing. I don't have an issue with you people going to the strip club and making it rain. I don't have an issue with that. I feel like there's a market for it. And if you put money in that product, that's money you put in that product. Nobody's forcing you to do it. I just want to move away from this idea that intimate relationships have to be transactional. They have to be reciprocal, right? They have to be
reciprocal. Do you know how many men do not know the word reciprocal? In college, I dated a man and I said, I want a reciprocal relationship. He said, what does that word mean? What, sir? It means give and take. He said, give and receive. Thank you. He said, well, why would I ever use that word? Excuse me, sir.
What was he studying? I mean, let's put it in context. What was he studying?
Now, I don't remember that far back now. You know what I'm saying? That's the other thing. Lord. I just remember that because that was, we go to college to learn more. And the fact that he didn't know the word was striking to me because, again, now in having kids, it's a numbers game with these words. You know what I'm saying? We trying to pump them full of words. So that means by college level, you don't know this word. So what were you not doing in high school and elementary school and in your free time that you don't know this word by now?
You judge somebody by their vocabulary.
Well, it's not. I'm going to say this as an educator. I think a lot of times as educators, we forget to model. Right? I can teach you all day. I can teach you all the words you need to know from A to Z, you know. But if I'm not doing the wisdom, I might as well not teach you anything.
Fair enough.
So if I'm talking about reciprocity, I can tell you about reciprocity all day, but I have to model that behavior. I have to model that. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I don't model that, I'm literally not. I'm doing you a disservice. I'm really doing you. I might as well not teach you. Matter of fact, if you don't teach somebody that, they're better off than me teaching it and then not modeling it or doing the opposite of that. So I think that's where the issue lies in, you know. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to model, you know.
Especially if the person has never seen it, because they're not going to recognize the model that you're trying to. And I don't get the example because I don't know what you're doing.
I'm sorry, Sekou.
No, I'm just kind of letting that all marinate. I'm just really letting that all marinate because we're dealing with mental health, we're dealing with physical health. You know, we're dealing with health.
Yeah, and that's all part of mental health because part of us growing up, our growth and development is developing relationships, right? Developing relationships with our parents, with our immediate family, with our extended family. When we go to preschool, you know, with other people in our community, those are all relationships. When I go to the coffee shop with my barista, that's a relationship. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a transactional relationship, you know, but at the same time, there's giving and receiving, right? I can treat that person with the utmost disrespect and they can respond with utmost disrespect, right? Or I can treat them with respect and, you know, in humanity and dignity, and they're going to give me that humanity and dignity and respect that I provide to them, right? So these are all relationships that we have. That's part of our growth and development. If we're in consistent abuse, right? If our immediate family is abusive, if our community is abusive, right? Then that's how we're gonna walk. That's how we're gonna walk in this world, right? Right? So I'll have a student who will cuss me out, you know, you mother effer, and I'm like, okay, cool. I remember that because you're gonna need something from me, right? And then they'll come later on. They'll be like, hey, I saw that you gave so and so a bag of chips. How can I get a bag of chips? Nah, you know, you were abusing me earlier, you know, and I don't, you know, that's not reciprocity. You know what I'm saying? I never talked to you like that. I never yelled at you like that. And you yelled at me like that. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? I have to model that behavior. Right?
So you bring up the modeling of the behavior after she talks about the brother didn't have a really strong vocabulary and wasn't familiar with the term. So how could she have modeled behavior?
I can't speak for her. I can't speak for her. So yeah.
Yeah, but just give an example. If somebody doesn't have the vocabulary that's needed for an experience, you know, how do we model that, man? Because I think that's one of the things that us having healthier dialogue, healthier communities, if we say that we need to model and be great examples.
I got you, Danny.
Okay. I have something too.
What do we do? What do we do?
I have something too. Good.
Yeah, I'm in college and I see Fit Goddess and I'm rapping with her, and she says I want a reciprocal relationship, and I don't know what reciprocal means. How does Fit Goddess model uplift, empowerment? Call it what you will.
So simply by immediately actively listening. Now in conversation, everything I do is going to be giving and receiving. I'm receiving what you're saying to me, and I'm letting you know that I received it by giving it right back to you. You tell me, oh, yeah, my favorite color is blue. Oh, you said your favorite color is blue? Then later, when I get you something that is blue, you'll know that I actually heard you because you heard me say it to you. And then my actions spoke to it because I listened.
All right. Well, I do think that we need to model more of that. And I want to also drive the conversation back to somebody who lost over 200 pounds, back to somebody who's teaching people how to live healthier lives. back to someone who's teaching people how to, one of the commenters from tonight mentioned that the way you responded when you were having that short interaction with Brother Crumb was beautiful. So, you hold up. You showed him class by not using your words to tear him down. That made you beautiful. All right. So if we are to model that, and if you're the fit goddess, what do we need to do better of? What do we need to insert into our lives? What do we need to embrace so that a greater amount of our community can be fit deities?
An attitude of gratitude, right? If you were actually appreciative or grateful for the simplest thing that you were given, which is life, you would treat yourself a whole different way. There are so many simple complaints of, oh, I don't like that. That doesn't taste well. I don't have time. Those are simple mantras or excuses that allow you to cheat yourself. How can you say you truly love yourself when you don't treat yourself well? Like, that is what I had to sit in the mirror and tell myself over and over again. Like, you lying to me. Stop lying to me. Stop lying to yourself. You know what I'm saying? When you know better, you do better. And most people that I've trained, their issue is that they have started and then stopped, and then they can't seem to start again when really they already know what to do. They already know how to do it. They've already lost the weight before. The difference between me and some people is that I didn't stop. I couldn't. Like, I remember the thoughts. I remember the feeling. I remember the weight. I remember everything from before. And I would never, ever want to think, feel, or act and behave in such a way to myself, let alone anybody else.
Okay. Hey, look, I've been showing.
Further.
Well, hold on tight. One moment, Danny.
Yeah.
We've been showing photos from Fit Goddess's IG and her Facebook post, her Facebook page. I do have to take you to task on one joint. Black history is bigger than American history, and we got to stop saying that it is the same thing. So we got to stop saying that. We
Fair
really
enough.
look.
But I'm quoting somebody. I'm quoting somebody. That's you know what I'm saying? Those aren't my words.
Right. And we got to stop promoting people passing out misinformation. So,
fair enough.
If we decide, and I know some of us we're not Black anymore. We're Indigenous. We're melanated. We're carbonated. We're Moorish. We're in, all the terms. I accept them all. I don't set trip off of them. But we just got to make sure we got to stop saying that it's American history, because there's so much. It happened in DR. It happened in Dominican Republic. It happened in Trinidad and Tobago. It happened in Jamaica, even though I know Jamaicans trip off of that. It happened in Carousel. It happened in Dominica, not the Dominican Republic, but Dominica. It happened in Cuba. It happened in Puerto Rico. Our history is global. Our history is global, and we just all right. So now I'm off my soapbox. We'll go back to you, Danny. What were you going to say, bro?
No, I was going to say that what I've learned from my experience in my age is that it isn't even about knowing better. It's about wanting to do better. A lot of us know what we need to do. A lot of us know it. You ain't got to tell me anything. I know a lot of people. You tell them something, they be like, 10 other people told me that. You got to want to do better. Like, you really, when it comes to this discussion of how we interact with one another. How do we model? How do we do that? We have to want to be like that. We really do. I have to want to what I want to see. I have to be that, right? Yep. If I want to see brothers that are saying peace to one another and hugging each other, having these conversations, and we're uplifting one another, we're affirming one another. We have to want that. We really have to want that. We're wholeheartedly, like with our entire hearts. We have to want that. And there's going to be days we don't feel like it, but ultimately, we still have to want that at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So, that's been my experience with that. Because again, we all have the knowledge. We all have Google. We all have smartphones. We can find. You can go on YouTube right now and find 20 different fitness programs, 20 different diet programs, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we have to really want to do that. And it goes back to loving ourselves. It goes back to self-love, right? We have to treat that like we were talking about in the green room, you know, how that self-love is just like I love my partner. I have to love myself the same way. What do I want to see in that relationship? Do the same thing here, right?
Hey, I want to round this up. This has been a great conversation as a primer. I think we need to have a set number 2 and 3 to kind of continue this. But you brought up Limitless.
Yes.
All right. What did you learn from this book? Because the book is dope.
Okay, so this is actually one of my clients, based off of how I speak. If you look at my Instagram more so, they say I'm thirst trapping, and I know I'm thirst trapping, but I'm hoping that people will actually read. I'm sorry.
I want to address that too, though. I want to address that, but go ahead.
So the idea is
here's the thirst trap.
It's a thirst trap
alert. Okay.
It is what it is, right? But I also know duality, right? I can be a beautiful woman and a fitness trap.
But go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. But I'm gonna say it for the layman's people because that's what they gonna call it. But so one of my clients told me about Limitless. She was like, "Oh my God, Chris," she said Thor because she couldn't remember his name. She said the guy that plays Thor is talking about everything that you're talking about. I'm like, wait, what? What you mean? Tell me what he's saying. She said he's diving in cold water like he told me to do. He's talking about the sauna and the pressure, and so I had to check out the thing. And it's on Hulu. Everything that this man is going through to try to alleviate the anxiety from his high pressure lifestyle, plus his traumatic experience as a child, is to just stabilize him in everyday life so that life never is too hard. Like, it's always hard, but it's not unbearable, which is what makes us feel limitless, right? The same kind of invincibility that most people attribute to youth, you can still have the rest of your life. It just looks differently because it's now you're tagged in, now you've experienced enough to know the difference between reality and fake, because there's that fantasy life that you have as a child. So now you actually, like Danny said, have to work at it. And there's ways to work your body to reduce anxiety to where your body's like, I don't even do that anymore.
All right. Well, there's one or two other points that we really need to drive home before we bring this to a close.
No, I just want to real quick about the thirst trap. We got to get out of this idea that you're a beautiful woman, right? And no matter what you post, someone's going to say it's a thirst trap. You know what I mean? You're beautiful, you're gorgeous, right? And women should have the right to say, let me post this picture of me in a bikini when I went out to Jamaica and be cool with it. And people shouldn't be like, and I'm not saying you can't salivate, fellas. You can salivate. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, let's chill. Let's be more mature.
Yeah, thank you.
I work with 8th graders, man. I expect 8th graders to act a fool because they're 8th graders. But when we grown men, let's fall back a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? And we should definitely, like, you're beautiful. It's not, you could put on a paper bag. You can put on a big giant paper bag and post it on Facebook, and somebody's gonna say that's a thirst trap. You know what I mean? So,
oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. We'll have, you know what? That's another show.
I like it.
I post thirst traps too, but that's neither here nor there. You know what I mean?
You can post in great sweatpants.
I look good. You know what I'm saying? I work hard for this, so y'all, I'm gonna hold it down. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. You supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, Queen, you mentioned that being healthy heals trauma. Can you get on that very quickly before we bounce?
All right. 2 books that make my point for me: The Body Keeps Score and Move the Body, Heal the Mind. More so The Body Keeps Score, because that one talks specifically to how however you're impacted by trauma, whether it's physical trauma, mental trauma, emotional trauma, that can change the physiological makeup of your body and turn into, let's say, an ulcer or gout or a hernia. It can change you so much that now you are a different person. So physical fitness, like I said before, if you do it consistently and there's a myriad of it, right? Strength training, eating right, sleeping right, exercising, cardio, agility, mobility. All these things will help tune your body to where those stressors are no longer a thing. Just like kind of having a scab, eventually it will heal if you treat it right. And then instead of, we treat our sick better than we treat our well. If we treated our well with sick care, everybody would be well all the time. Uh-oh.
No, he's still
Wait,
there.
wait.
Yeah, he's just geeked
Say
out.
that again. Wait. Say that again. We treat what?
We treat sick people better than we treat well people. Meaning, if you're sick, I'm going to bring you just the best foods and orange juice and water and make sure you get lots of sleep. Why are we not doing that when you're well?
Facts.
That's why you got sick. So if you just treat me like I'm sick all the time, I'll be well all the time.
Facts. That's facts. He's right.
All right. Whoa. That's dope. I like that. I needed that. We needed that. Any last words, Dan Trez Omi, the brother from the Where My Killer At? Where My Killer Tape At?
Yes, sir. Where My Killer Tape At. Just the only thing I have is just find what you love to do and then do it hard. You know, and you'll thank your body for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about the podcast, bro.
Oh, Where My Killer Tape At. Pretty much what you see here on Get On Code is what you see me talk about. I talk everything about culture, sex, race, everything, gender, politics, everything in there. Geek culture, pretty much everything. If you hang out with me, if you know me, pretty much that's what's on my podcast. So,
right. All right, Queen. This was your show. This was your show. This was we wanted to make sure that we gave some spotlight to the Fit Goddess. Any last messages?
Truly take the time to invest in loving yourself. It is a phenomenal experience to experience self-ecstasy and pleasure from just loving yourself, you know, being disciplined to rest and eat and exercise. Also, because it's plug time, it's available on Amazon. It's my first baby, and it stands for Build Resiliency Every Day and Think Health Eternally. And I mean that with all of my heart. We all have to go through stuff. It's much easier to go through life and live a long life when you have an optimal operating system, AE temple to do so with.
Okay. All right. Hey, so we just want to say to all the code keepers and the master students, and do you have a name for the tribe, or is it just the Fit Goddess tribe?
Fit Goddess tribe. You know, it's gods and goddesses. You know, the brothers is God. Y'all got to be okay with being made in the image and likeness of the thing and being called as such. You know what I mean? 2 cows make a baby calf. We call it a calf because that's what it is.
That's what it is. Peace, God. Look, y'all, drink your water, eat your vegetables, engage with your family. They miss you. They love you. And we do too. Peace.
Peace.